Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Macha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hello, Gertrude and everyone. I'm Bea Caillet from Paris, France. I'm 40-year-old. I'm the creator of the blog Go Healthy with Bea, where I share both my story with an autoimmune disease and my gluten-free recipes. Well, back in 2006, just a few weeks after I started my career in a CPA firm, I started to have very, very painful back pain, especially at night, to the point that I couldn't, stay lying down. So it was really, really hard to sleep at night. But doctors kept telling me that it was just the stress of starting my career. So the months passed by, and I was still in a lot of pain, to the point where I could barely walk. And then after being sent to a psychologist, because they were telling me that it was some kind of mental health issue, I finally got to see a really good rheumatologist who finally gave me the diagnosis that I had spondylitis, ankylosing spondylitis. And looking back, when I finally found out what it was and discovered all the symptoms from the autoimmune disease, I finally discovered that all the unexplained symptoms that I had been suffering from since the age of 8 years old, they were all linked to that. So in the end, even though I was diagnosed at 25 years old, the disease really began when I was 8. But, having a diagnosis was not a magical cure. It just a new phase started. And during many, many years, we spent a lot of time and struggled a lot trying to find the best treatment for this, trying to control the flare-ups, the pain, and at that time, I had almost no social life because it was so exhausting to be in pain all the time. Anyway, and also my career, of course, completely crashed. Anyway, where was I? Sorry, I'm being emotional. And then after about 10 years on so many different treatments, where at some point I was on 7 different medications at the time. And when I had some side effects, which happened quite a lot, it was really, really hard to find out which one was causing the side effects. Anyway, so after, so many different side effects episodes, and one that also sent me to the ER it was an allergy to biotherapy. I started, trying to think about myself and think that maybe I should try to document trying to heal naturally. And so I went to the library, especially American library, because there's so much more resources in English than in French. So I documented myself on natural healing, and then one thing led to another. After, doing my research and being quite convinced that something could be done, even though I had been told that I would have to be with medication all my life, and that I would suffer from this disease all my life. finally I was convinced that maybe there was something that could be done. So, and you know how life happens when when you are convinced of something, you have made a decision. I don't know, the universe, or you can call it, or your guardian angel, or God, whatever you call it. Suddenly you find a solution. So a friend suddenly talked to me about a functional medicine doctor. It's a kind of doctor who wants to find the root of the symptom. Just it's the thing is not to just stop the symptom, but to go to the real cause of the symptoms. So I went to see this functional medicine doctor, and he got me tested for food sensitivities. And then with the test results, I changed my whole way of feeding me. I had to go gluten, dairy, egg-free, but that's my personal sensitivities. So everybody is not the same. I would say that nobody is the same. So that's my personal sensitivities. And thank God I was really into a lot of cooking, and it was really a passion for me. It had been for all my life almost. So even though it was really, really hard to change my way of eating, and also in the social events, it's not easy to have food, because gluten and cheese is everywhere, especially in France. So with the baguette and the cheese, so that was really, really hard. But I think that I have a superpower. It's my willpower. So I was convinced that it would do me good in the end. So I really kept at it. And I worked hard at trying some new recipes. I started creating my own recipes. So, and about 1 year on this new diet, I quit biotherapy. And then 9 months later, I was off all medication.
Now,
And
let me stop
now,
you there. Let me stop you there. Let's go back a few steps, because this is a fascinating journey you've been on. You know, a lot of people suffer in silence, not knowing what's actually wrong with them. And yet it's the food that they're consuming that's actually causing all of these problems.
mhm.
So take us a few steps back and describe what your symptoms were like when you started to feel ill, maybe when you were 8. What did the symptoms manifest?
Well, when I was 8, it was I had. Sorry, I should have looked in the dictionary. I have no idea how to say that in English. It's not my ankle. It's just right. So I could barely walk, put my feet down. It was a foot pain. It was really, really, really painful. So much that even more than 30 years after that, so my mother still remember that we had to go to the doctors many times about this unexplained pain in my foot. I couldn't. Sometimes I couldn't put my foot down and walk. So that was one of the very first symptoms that I had when I was 8. And then I think things got better until I was a teenager, maybe around 15 or something. Finally, I had some more symptoms. It was mostly also back pain during the night. But I thought it was, because my back is really curvy, so I thought it was just that. And so I would put some cushions under my mattress to raise my feet a little bit, so to try to ease the pain, but it was not enough. And so it was really at night, back pain, and also when also in the I'm sorry, I don't know all the technical terms in English. It was in my hip. In the hip, I also walking was difficult at some time when I was with a flare-up. So
it's interesting that for you, it manifested in your physical frame. It was more in the bones. For
yeah.
some people, they feel it in their stomach. So it actually manifests in different ways in different people, correct?
Yeah, it's really interesting to realize that in fact a leaky gut, because this is what I have. A leaky gut can cause a lot of different symptoms. And for me, it's arthritis, because ankylosing spondylitis is a form of arthritis. So it's really pain in all the joints
Joints.
everywhere. Because I was talking about the symptoms that I had when I was younger, which they were unexplained, but they didn't lead to the diagnosis. What led to the diagnosis was when it really went a level much higher than that, where I really couldn't lie down more than 1 or 2 hours a night. And so it was because I really quickly found out that the less I was moving, the more I was in pain. So lying down,
Okay.
lying down, or being seated at a desk for many hours was very, very painful for me. So it was really back pain at night, to the point that I couldn't sleep. And then also at that point, all joints I had were starting to ache everywhere, even in my hands. I was playing the piano, but it was like I didn't have the same mobility in my hands. And so it really got into all my skeleton, all my joints everywhere was aching. So, but as like I said, it took like 1 year of really excruciating pain to finally get a diagnosis. Because it all started when I started my career. And so doctors thought that it was just a stress. So of course, the stress is a pain trigger. It's a trigger, that's for sure. I can now I know my body so well that I know that anytime I have a stressful event or anything that can be stressful, I can have a flare-up. So a good way to try to avoid the flare-ups is to manage the stress. But that's not enough.
If you could have had somebody giving you advice when you were going through the struggle of trying to find out what it was, let's say there's somebody who's listening and they're hearing what you're saying and their symptoms are similar to yours. What 3 nuggets of advice would you give them? What are the 3 steps they should take to start finding a solution to what's actually wrong with them?
Well, I would say that you have to try to figure out what your triggers are. For the first one that I found out by myself was the stress. So that's how, in fact, I started to document myself on natural healing. I thought, okay, so I want to reduce my medication. So, and I know for a fact that each time that I'm stressed out, I have a flare-up. So I'm going to manage my stress. And then one book led to another, and finally found out that much more could be done. And the gut was at the source of many diseases. But I was not prepared to go all in by myself. I was, kind of scared and not self-confident enough, because I didn't know enough about all of this. So I wanted to consult a medicine doctor. So now the functional medicine doctors are, they are developing. It's kind of the new medicine, which in the end is not really new, in fact, because now that I have documented myself a lot about ancestral medicines all around the world, either Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, and it's they all explain the same thing. And Hippocrates was also saying 2,500 years ago that food is medicine. The first medicine we should take is food. So for me, I took a test. It was a blood test for food sensitivities, but I know that there are also ways to do that for people who can't afford it or don't have access to that kind of test. For some reason, they can do an elimination diet by themselves. So they can, remove the food that are most likely to trigger the symptoms, like gluten or dairy, eggs. There are many, I think there are 14 most likely, allergen triggers. So they can try for a few weeks and see if they are feeling better. And then when they try to reintroduce one by one and see if the symptoms come back. But the thing is, it's really hard sometimes to tell if a food is not good for you, because the symptoms are not, I eat and then I get a flare. It's usually, it can take a few hours, and linking a leaky gut or a problem with your gut and joint pain is not really easy. So usually when we think that some food is not good for us, we would just say, oh, I have a tummy ache. We wouldn't think that, oh, I got a headache, or I got joint pain, or I got something, that really doesn't seem to be linked. So,
So my next question to you is this. You said that food is medicine, right? You became very, very conscious and aware of what you were putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
A lot of times we eat very unconsciously. We don't read labels. We just consume food, assuming it's good for us when it's not. The recipes that you've developed, are you sharing these on your blog? Tell us a little bit about your blog and how you're reaching out to people and helping other people.
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to tell you is that before that, I was already eating whole foods, and I was already reading all the labels, because I grew up with a father. He's an expert in ingredients, so he taught me all of that. So I was absolutely not eating junk food, or really from time to time with friends, or, really just... So in the end, it was not that I went from eating really badly to having a healthy diet. So it's really much more difficult than that, because I was really sure that I had a very healthy diet already. But in the end, because my symptoms were not, like I said, instantly after eating the food, but, after only a few hours or maybe a few days after that, it was really silent symptoms in a way, if I may say. So in the end, I had to remove gluten, cow dairy. Thank God I can still have goat and sheep dairy for a French woman who loves cheese. It's much easier for me. And also eggs. And then, but at the very beginning, I really struggled, because cooking and especially baking without gluten, dairy, and eggs, it's hard when you don't know how to do that. But thankfully, I'm really passionate about especially baking. So I started experimenting at the beginning, it was all a real mess, and some were not even eatable. But and they would end up in the trash. But so after a while, I finally got the hang of it, and I started creating my own recipes. And then I realized that everywhere I went, because I was also at the same time by reducing inflammation in my body. So the very first thing that I started to people would see at first was that I was losing weight. I was a little bit overweight, not too much, but it was just inflammation in my body. So it began to be the talk everywhere I went. So people who knew me before that. So I realized that both the people were at the same time very curious to know about what I was doing to lose weight, and also what I was changing in my life. And they saw that I was feeling better and better when the months were going by. But then when I said now I'm eating gluten, dairy, and egg free, they all said, "Oh no, no, that's not for me." And then, but I realized that I'm really a food lover. We are obsessed with food in my family. We always have food, and we gather. We are obsessed with food, and with good food. And my mother taught me how to cook, and I used to cook with her when I was really a little girl, and so I really decided that going gluten, dairy, and egg free would not prevent me from enjoying my food. Right. And so I wanted, when the people around me said, "Oh no," I said, "Okay, I'm going to make you something, and you will try it." And in the end, they all told me, "Oh, you're right, it's really good." And so at one point I thought, okay, I need to create a blog where at the same time I will tell my own story with this autoimmune disease and my natural healing journey, but also I will give my recipes, because if I just go around and tell people, "Oh, okay, maybe you should consider going gluten and dairy free," but if I don't give them a solution on how to eat and enjoy the food, they won't do it. They won't do it. So I have met some people that they were told that, and then in the end said, "Okay," and so in the end they don't stick to this diet. So I wanted really to have the whole the whole solution, or maybe a way for people to find a solution by themselves.
Okay. So if I was to take you and leap you into the future, let's now imagine you are a wise woman of 100 years old. Oh. And you've lived this healthy life. You've helped thousands of people, restore their health who are struggling with autoimmune diseases. If you could have a conversation with that future woman, based on how you're living your life right now, what would you say to her? If I could teleport you into the future.
I would be very proud of myself if I could say that I have helped thousands of people healing naturally, and healing even if it's not naturally, at least finding out what the symptoms are, because like I've said, not knowing what you have when you have many symptoms and you can't sleep at night, and people tell you that it's all in your head, it can drive you really nuts. And so that's something that I really would love to really help people. That's the whole point of my blog. But in the end, when I first started, it was just a side hustle. I was still in my unfulfilling corporate career. And in the end, I think it's kind of saved me because I finally found myself, and I'm really much happier now.
Yeah.
Because I have decided to go one step further and become a holistic health coach, and in the end, until the age of, I think, 17, I wanted to be either a doctor or a vet. But then something happened in my life, and I decided to go study accounting. So in the end, I'm finally aligned with my soul. And
Yes.
so that's absolutely incredible. So I'm so grateful for this. And I do believe that part of my symptoms on my disease was caused by the fact that, it was I think that my body was telling me, hey, what are you going to, because as I told you, the symptoms got really, really crazy when I first started my career in CPA firm. So I think it was a way for my body to tell me, hey, you have nothing to do there. You want to heal people. What are you doing? Just get out of here.
I love it. They say that the universe never gives you a challenge you can't overcome, and that you go through it so you can become a teacher, which you have. And you found yourself, you found your true calling through this experience, which is quite fascinating. So before we leave, what are your parting thoughts to anybody out there who is suffering from an autoimmune condition?
Well, I would say that hanging there, even though maybe your doctor, because he doesn't know better, is telling you that you will suffer all your life, and that you have to take medication all your life. Maybe it can be different. So there's hope, I think, and it was a try, at least. I'm not telling that everybody can be off medication, but because I am not a doctor anyways, but there's hope, and I think it's worth a try. And anyway, also trying to understand what are the triggers, and learning how to listen to your body will really help you, even if you keep taking medication.
That is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us today. Like I said, there's a lot of people who suffer in silence. If you're one of those people who's not feeling well, you can't put your finger on it. The food we consume sometimes can be our poison. So start by eliminating certain things from your diet. We've mentioned dairy, you mentioned eggs. There's certain foods that do affect people. Go on to this amazing blog, gohealthywithbea.com. Contact her if you need help and support, because sometimes you do need someone by your side who's gone through this experience, who can share what they've gone through and help you on your journey as well. So Bea, thank you so much for what you're doing in helping other people by sharing your story and these amazing recipes that you've come up with. And hopefully you'll publish a recipe book that we can all get access to, I hope. Have you considered that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about a book, yeah, but it's not easy.
That's awesome. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is attracting some phenomenal women who are each stepping up to share their story so that they can be the light at the end of your tunnel. So come back again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Bea, thank you again for this interview.
Thank you so much, Gertrude, for having me. It was such a pleasure. I'm really, really honored that you had me. Thank you so much.
Bye for now, everybody. Bye, Bea.
Bye.